After the amazing success of the Congress of Vienna, as voted on by the Possible History viewers, the leaders of Europe have once again called upon the brilliant viewers of the Possible History channel to carve up the African continent for them. Probably to keep you guys away from Europe this time, for pretty understandable reasons. But now, an alternate Africa is on the table, and you guys had full reign to give anything on the continent you wanted to any of these highlighted states, with some extra choices sprinkled in as well. Here is the rough map of each area you guys could decide the owner for. This time though, there wasn't just one round of voting, giving it to whoever got the most. Instead, we ran 3 rounds, eliminating the nations with the least votes until eventually someone got an absolute majority. So with that, let's dive right into round 1, where Morocco is up for grabs. Now in a surprise move, nearby Portugal managed to gain not just it, but all territory around it with an absolute majority round 1. Very impressive Portugal. But their success doesn't just stop there. They also hold on to Angola and Mozambique, while gaining all territory in between. Man, you guys are really liking Portugal. Let's fill out South Africa now, where I gave you an interesting option. The Boer republics inland could either remain independent, be annexed into British South Africa, or annex South Africa themselves. In an overwhelming display of support, the Boers didn't just get South Africa, but just about everything they had an option to get. I have to be honest, I did not expect so many majorities in the first round of voting. Let's look at North Africa next. The territories around Egypt may just be the biggest prize to give away. Who gets... Oh, come on! This is getting ridiculous. Alright, let's just speed through. West Africa, Portugal. Central Africa, Portugal. The Horn of Africa, Ethiopia actually, interesting. Alright, but anyway, we're giving people more than 10 options for each region, and somehow there is a majority on each and every single one. Now, call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think something is amiss. Turns out, some elite hackers managed to bypass my extremely good protections, mainly because I didn't really have any, which completely ruined this first round of voting. Luckily though, we know exactly what the hacker voted for. All we need to do is remove the fake votes from each question, which will take some work, but is not a real problem. Let's try round 1 again. Alright, let's start with Morocco again. Oh my, that is a candidate I wasn't expecting. Austria-Hungary actually secured it and the surrounding regions. That should make for an interesting alternate history. Alright, let's move on to the big prize again, Egypt, which also has a majority for Austria-Hungary. Oh come on, surely not. Yep, South Africa too, Central Africa, yep, North Africa, West Africa, East Africa, Austria, Austria. Alright, we get it. What is going on here? Our total number of votes has exploded to a whopping 100,000. For context, I have about 83,000 subscribers right now. Out of all of these 100,000 votes, only around 2,000 were real. Nice. Alright, so I'm gonna have to use the nuclear option. I will clear out all votes and restart it without any chicanery this time. And luckily, this vote was more enjoyed than ever before, with by the end, more than 4,000 votes sent in. And to anyone who didn't get to participate in this one, don't worry. The next viewer poll is already set to go. Just please wait until the end of the video before actually filling it in. But anyway, this round 1 is nowhere near as decisive, with very few majorities as it should be. Italy has great success in North Africa, with full majorities in Tunisia and Tripoli, while having the most votes in the rest. Very impressive. But not quite as impressive as Spain, which overwhelmingly received Morocco. Now the region surrounding Morocco had the option to be annexed by whomever owned Morocco itself, which was pretty much always the most voted for, while Spain itself was the second biggest in these votes. Since Spain owns Morocco, these are pretty much the same option now, and so, after round 1, Spain manages to get a rather impressively large Moroccan colony. Now Algeria is a funny story. You see, France already owns Algeria, and not just as a colony, but as a full part of France itself. By an extremely slim margin, you guys decided that France should lose control over Algeria, but you were divided over who should take it instead. The Algerian desert did have a clear winner though. France! I gotta applaud you guys for this one. What an absolute classic prank you guys pulled on France. Now, this does put France in a rather uncomfortable position, as they do win quite a few states in the Sahel as well. Let's just hope round 2 gives them a coastline somewhere. Now moving on to Central Africa, you guys couldn't yet decide on who gets to own the Kingdom of the Congo, but you did overwhelmingly vote that most of the surrounding regions should go to whomever gets the Congo itself. Apart from Katanga, which you decided to give to whomever gains Zambia in a future round. The vote on who gets to own the Congo is one of the most exciting, with the leading candidates for now being independence or Germany. But we'll have to see what round 2 brings. Angola and Mozambique would be kept in Portuguese hands. Now here, on the Guinean coast, we have Spain laying claim to the entire coastline. In our own timeline, they gave all of this up, only keeping small Equatorial Guinea. But, proud conquistadors that you guys are, Spain gets to keep their entire coastline. Now the final region with interesting results in round 1 is Eastern Africa. Most of East Africa is a toss-up between Germany, Britain, or the surprise contender, the Sultanate of Oman. That's right, Oman had holdings on the East African coastline and they very well may keep them. For now though, each vote is too close to call. The Horn of Africa region sees crowd-favored Ethiopia establish their independence, but most of the votes for the surrounding regions are too close to call. With this, our first round of voting is over, and by far most of Africa is still up for grabs, with most votes looking something like this. What we did for round 2 is to remove all options apart from the top 5 and forcing those votes to be redistributed among the top 5. So hopefully, after round 2, Africa will be largely filled in. I'm sorry for the quick intermission, but by far most of you aren't subscribed. To keep up to date with the 2 videos I release every single week, consider doing so. Thank you. Alright, so let's now dive right in and see some real partitioning. Let's start with South Africa, where the people could choose between the British annexing the Boer republics or the Boer republics annexing the Cape Colony. Overwhelmingly, the Boers won out, so a Boer South African state is born. But they don't just stop there. They annex many of the regions around it in an absolutely devastating blow to British imperial ambition. But maybe the British make it up elsewhere. Let's take a look at Egypt. Alright, so all of Sudan goes to whomever gets Egypt, but Egypt itself is still a toss-up between Britain and the Ottomans. So it will have to go to round 3 to decide a victor. Britain does manage to secure the Suez, but the Ottomans own the Sinai, making the Suez very vulnerable should Britain not manage to gain Egypt. Moving west, we have Libya, which becomes fully Italian, giving them a respectable colony in the north. Algeria though has to move on to round 3, as both Spain and Italy face off in the final vote. Whoever wins this one will dominate North Africa. Oh yeah, and Spain also manages to get a piece of the Mauritanian desert, which makes me just hate the borders that I'm seeing now. Now during this conference, there was always the specter of a certain population group. We do not like to speak of them. They only listen to Erika while wearing lederhosen and pickelhaubes while attempting to grow a Kaiserstache. That's right, I'm talking about the Kaiser and Wehrabus. Despite Germany not winning any votes yet, they have been a top runner in most votes. Remember when I removed all non-top 5 options? Germany was removed from, and I counted, exactly 0 of them. German dominance was strongest in the regions they did actually gain in real life, gaining inland Cameroon, as well as inland Kenya and Tanzania in round 2. Now the big issue with both? Neither has secured a coastline yet, so for Germany's sake, let's hope that they manage to secure one at some point. Back to the Horn, the Ethiopians managed to expand their control massively, only missing out on Somalia, which the Italians still threaten to take. But even right now, Ethiopia is already a major player, securing themselves a coastline while controlling the entrance to the very important Red Sea trade. Now, for round 2, we only have one more region to carve up, Madagascar. And I think we can all guess who got it. That's right, Austria-Hungary. And legitimately this time. Now you may wonder what these dots inside Madagascar are, and I'm glad you asked. That's actually Israel. That's right, my viewers decided to put Israel inside of Austro-Hungarian Madagascar. In a sentence I would never expect anyone to say. But with that, round 2 is over, and there is still a lot of territory to decide upon. In this final round, all but 2 options are removed from every single vote, meaning we are forced to get a majority on each one. Let's start with West Africa. France has been dominant in the votes in the region for a while now, and they finally achieve victory, ensuring they actually have a land connection to their Saharan colonies. But that's not all. You guys quite liked France's real colonial empire, as they also got their Central African colonies. Still, with the loss of Algeria, the French Empire is mostly desert now. But hey, speaking of Algeria, Italy or Spain? It's Spain. Spain just went from the weakest colonial power in our timeline to an absolute North African powerhouse in this one. Good job. Another region so far undiscussed is Nigeria, mainly because the votes were extremely boring so far. 3 nations have a chance here: Germany, Britain, and the wildcard, the African state Sokoto. The victor, perhaps unsurprisingly, would be the Sokoto Caliphate, grabbing up most of Nigeria as well as Ghana. But there is one obvious issue with this victory in Ghana. Sokoto failed to win any of the votes in between. The coastline would be won by none other than the Dutch, who managed to secure their only colony in Africa. Similarly, the land in between would be grabbed up by Denmark. I am really happy about this. 2 powers which didn't get any colonies in our timeline at least get something now. But with Sokoto not being able to reach this territory, it goes to number 2, which is Britain. But wait, they don't have a coastline either. Alright, Germany. I'm sensing a pattern. Okay, option 4, Austria-Hungary. Right, the same issue. With a lack of better options, France, the 5th most voted option, gains a territory. I guess that's deserved? Oh yeah, and this small piece of coastline, holding Lagos, goes to Britain, our colonial dwarf. But hey, maybe the Brits will gain Egypt and restore their honor. Do they? Nope. In one of the most important land changes you guys voted on, the Ottomans keep a protectorate over Egypt, putting British trade from Asia at the mercy of the Ottoman Sultan. The British don't even have South Africa as an easy alternate route should anything happen to the Suez. Now moving down, what is the fate of Somalia? I think we all know. The Ethiopians managed to secure the Somalilands as well, expelling all potential colonists from the Horn of Africa. With the Ottomans in the north, who are in no position to expand, and their entire coastline under their control, preventing easy invasions, the Ethiopians seem in a great position for the future. Now the East African coast is left with 2 options: Germany, completing their East African colony, or Oman, the much more interesting option in my opinion, which would also leave the German colonies landlocked, which would result in this massive Omani empire. How fun is that? Not that fun, according to you guys, as you decided to create a greater German East Africa. But that's not all for Germany, as they also managed to receive Namibia. By this point, Cameroon is still at risk though, as it lacks a coastline. But no worries, you guys decided to solve this in just about the worst way imaginable. Congo-Brazzaville is awarded to Germany, giving this horrible Central African colony, while Gabon, in a cruel twist of fate, goes to France. This is just about the worst border gore imaginable, and I hate it. I really do. But it's time to address the elephant in the room, the Congo. The final 5 options left were Germany, perhaps the most interesting one, then Austria, Independence, Sweden, and finally Belgium. Which one managed to come out on top? It's Germany. The Kaiser will be very pleased to hear this, as perhaps the richest region of Africa now falls under German occupation. Now let's carve up the final remaining lands. The south goes to the ever-expanding Boer Empire, who now pretty much control the entire south of the continent. Is this a sustainable empire? Absolutely not. But at least they look impressive on the map. Now realistically, there is only one nation the remaining territory can go to. That's right, the Portuguese realized their dream of the pink map, and I'm really happy for them. Now they can pretend like they are still relevant for just a little bit longer. Now comparing this to our own 1914 map, we can see that there are some rough similarities, but perhaps the absolute biggest change is that Britain is now nearly fully absent from this alternate division of Africa. Now it may just be me, but I do imagine that excluding the greatest colonial empire in history from Africa will have some consequences. And these consequences will be explored this Thursday, as I will release a full alternate history video on how this Africa will turn out, and how it would influence Europe going forward. Do subscribe to join me then. But before you leave, in the comments and description you will find the link to the next poll, where you guys vote on the peace deals that ended World War I, where I am sure you will use the freedom I give you to ruin the post-war world. Go nuts, people! But for now, this is where I'll end this video. Thank you all for watching, consider leaving a like and a comment to support the content. Subscribe for 2 more videos every single week. And to continue watching, click on one of the 2 videos on screen now. Again, thank you all for watching, and goodbye.